What is up, my ninjas? I'm STRYDENT, and today we are taking a look at my much awaited find. This is the SIC Kamen Rider O's Shau combo. This is a combination, he's all about combinations. So this is a combination of the shark, the eel, and the octopus. And you know, it's martial arts combinations, you know, mythical martial arts combinations. And I love it. I wasn't a big fan of the show, but I really dug everything I saw with this figure. I dig SIC in general, so typically I fall in love with their designs, but I really was looking forward to this one. And I'm going to go through and show you the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, and we'll see if when we come out the other side, this figure has completely suited my fancy. But as you can see, this is one of those figures that, you know, it's just gonna kill standing next to some of your other domestic figures, because no one makes anything like this in the US. You know, NECA is the closest we have, and they still pale in comparison when it comes to materials, the variation of materials, when it comes to the paint job. I mean, they're pretty close, don't get me wrong, but they don't do stuff like this. So anyway, sit back, relax, and as usual, I will go through this with you, and hopefully you'll enjoy the show. So let's do it. All right, so this is what Kamen Rider O's Shau combo looks like in the show. Now, a huge component of SIC is that they take this design and they run it through the minds of the sculptors. This is what the SH Figuarts looks like. Now, remember, SIC and Figuarts are done both by Bandai. So the level of expertise is there, just in different ways. As you can see, this is extremely screen accurate. This is it through the SIC lens. Now, this is why the SIC figures appeal to me so much, because this looks like that thing that I love, the movie translation of a character. I mean, just think of Batman in 1989 and what you had been reading on the page, or even what you had seen from the Adam West 66 Batman. Up to that point, you know, Batman was kind of goofy. It was like they took exactly the same approach with Superman as they did on the page in real life. And it doesn't necessarily make him feel intimidating, you know. I mean, there's ways to do it, like we saw with Batman Dead End, but this takes it the extra mile. And this is what I love to see. Textures and, you know what I mean, armor plates and just detailing that just, it was not present on the standard design. It's fully realized. Like, this is what I like. All the weird Under Armour shit that we get with our superheroes, it pisses me off because it's the same. Fucking seams everywhere. It's the same. Why not go for a different approach? I mean, granted, you could say that for all the Kamen Riders, it's the same, but that's where you'd be wrong. If you've seen the reviews I did for my Fives figures, he's a technological rider, so they just took the technology in a different direction. It's not organic looking. It's just more high tech, more compound designs, more compound shapes, a lot of geometric shapes, but more of it, you know what I mean? Whereas here, you know, upper body is the whale. Somewhere in the middle is your eel. And then somewhere on the bottom, or shark, I'm sorry, is at the top. And somewhere in the middle is your eel. And then the legs represent the octopus. So, you know, taking elements from those organic beings, those animals, you take the organic shapes and patterns that might be found on them, and you end up with a really dope design. So this just continues to impress me. I will admit that when I first opened him up, I wasn't as geeked as I have been with SIC figures. And I don't know exactly why. I think I was overwhelmed because there's so much to this figure. So many moving parts, you know. But the amount of detail, the amount of just care that was put into the sculpt and the paint and the accuracy of all the line work, and it's just fucking mesmerizing, you know? And these are shelf pieces, unfortunately. He's sturdy, But like the way I usually play, where I'm choreographing fights and stuff, it seems like any contact that's a little bit, you know, tougher than a gentle nudge, it's gonna break him. You know, I feel like if he falls, I mean, he's sturdy, so if he falls on carpet, maybe not. But if he falls on the floor, something's probably gonna break. But I mean, just look at all this detail. No slop. So many variations on sculpted textures. You know what I mean? There's no tampoed textures. Everything is sculpted. So many different patterns, swooshes, and then the paint follows perfectly, you know? Some of that shit, I don't even know how you mass produce paint on this level. You know what I mean? It must be one hell of a sweatshop. And if it's not a sweatshop, you know, and I'm kind of joking, but we know that some of these places, they ship off the work to places where essentially it is a sweatshop, and you know that's why you get the kind of work you get. But maybe they just have a amazing team of artists that paint and put in the care with each and every one of these, you know? Because I mean, look at how intricate a lot of these details are. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. The details are everywhere, and the patterns are everywhere, and every portion of the figure is interesting to look at. And that's what I mean when I was saying way back when, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I probably will continue to say it, Bandai makes the best shit. Hands down. Everything they make on every level. I mean, you'll see when I do the Power Rangers movie figures, the Legacy movie 2017 figures, every scale, they're still quality, you know? They at least maintain the essence, and it's a good essence. You know, here, this is like that kind of essence of the original design, but you've blown the original design out of the water, you know? You just blown it the fuck away. I really dig the way they do this. I mean, I've given you the facts, now I'm telling you my opinion. This is what draws me to this line. The designs are, they're just out of this world. And if the show looked like this, I would be a bigger fan. But as it is, I'm more of a fan of the SIC designs and less of a fan of the show. But anyway, Sculpt and Paint is phenomenal. Now the accessories. Now, he comes with a decent amount of accessories, you know. I think I actually have 3 of the accessories are actually in his belt, right, in this picture. So I apologize for that, but I will show you them in detail. But as you can see, a lot of extra parts. He has a decent amount of extra hands. One hand is for a gesture that AE does in the show. And then the rest are all kind of, you know, like activated things. Like when he has the core medals in his belt, the giant medal on his chest usually reflects that. So it'll be, everything will be kind of amped up and glowing and shit. Those standard coins that you see on the side, those are the standard medals, just the way they normally are. You've got various gesturing and gripping hands, as well as the one specific for their gesture. That's a thing that I love about the Bandai Kamen Rider figures, because each Kamen Rider has a thing that they do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a little gesture that is them. It's like a signature gesture, and they always include that arm or whatever. These are effect parts, and I'm going to show you exactly what those are for later. This here is a nice effect part. Ooh, Lord have mercy. And I'm going to get into that one shortly. The belt, the driver, my God, look at how nice it is. Everything, the scanner or scanning metal, it looks dope. The, it just, man. You know, and this is coming from someone who, I don't like the show. I just don't. I like the idea, but the execution is just too goofy. Now, here are the 2 different sets of medals. One of them, one set is actually die-cast coins for the figure. I mean, what the fuck? You know? And so the belt itself can be, it kind of swivels, because that's what it does. He puts the coins in and then swivels it to activate it, you know, like from the fixed position to, and you'll see it fixed in a second. So it's fixed, and you can take the face off and put the coins in there. And then once you put the coins in, you can, you know, then of course put the face back on. In the show, there's slots on the top, and he just pushes the coins down, and then you tilt the thing to the side, like, you know, the right side you push down, or left side, and it activates. And then you take the giant, you know, coin on the side and scan over the coins to activate the individual abilities. I think I had put them in backwards. But on the side, there's the little keeper for his, it's like a little coin holder for all the different coins, and it can fit 6 of them. I'm just like, man, look at this amount of detail. It opens and closes too. It's just like, this is above and beyond what we typically get here in the States, you know? Shoot, I'm getting more excited reviewing this figure than I was when I opened the figure the first time. I think a lot was going on, so I was a little overwhelmed. But you can clearly see why I get so excited about these figures. It's just beautiful on every single level. So, you know, you have no excuse not to be interested. Now, I'm going to continue showing you some of like his articulation along with the rest of the accessories. And I'm not going to do a standard articulation section just because, you know, with these guys, you know they can do dynamic poses. It's almost to the point where I don't have to really go into detail with them. You can kind of see they have a base body, kind of like a base articulation, and usually they're more or less posable from that. But as you can see, the range of motion is not hindered by all the gear and all the layers of stuff that you see on him. So you can see that he's pretty damn posable. But I want to get back into the accessories. So you saw the medals and the hand I told you about that was specific for a little gesture that AG usually does. And this is that hand. It can hold all 3 coins, both sets, you know, not at the same time. And it's something you see him do usually when he's, you know, he gets the 3 coins that he needs to have the perfect combo, you know, or the combos that are more recognized in the show. That's the way he holds those coins. He takes them out of the little container and, you know, holds them in his hand like that and then pushes them where they need to go. That's so awesome that they do this. You know what I mean? This is one of those things that is a reason why I always said that the Sota Street Fighter line is my favorite line of all time, because every figure had this level of care and level of attention paid to things they do, not only the things that are on their person that are part of the design. So I love this because you could just pose him gesturing like that and it's unique enough. Here are the eel whips. Essentially those tubes that you see behind his hands. You have replacement ones, because in the show, they just unlatched, stretch out, and he grabs a hold of them and whips them at people, you know? They look awesome. They're not bendable, but I mean, come on. They look better in motion than they would look if you were, you know, bending them. I'll deal with this. I'll take this, because there's nothing else I want to do with them than have him whipping them at people, you know? And they look good. They look good from whatever angle. So, they did a really good job with this. They did a good job with the paint. There's a subtle wash, and it goes from kind of dark to very dark at the very end of it. And it travels along nicely. None of the paint is splotchy, and they're made of a fairly pliable material. It's kind of light, so you want to be careful. You don't want to squeeze or try to bend them, but you know they're not bendable. So since you know they're not bendable, don't even go in trying to bend them up and all that craziness. Just leave them as is. I like to look at this as the level 1 eels, you know, him using the eel powers. Level 2 would be this. These are where his arms fully transform into electric eels. And I love this because, you know, in Kung Fu you have animal styles. And in the animal styles, we often try to imitate the movements of various animals. So here, if the style is the eel style and he's super heroic and he's doing a mystical style of martial arts, you know, that's enhanced by, you know, essentially they are his rider powers. It's dope that his arms can turn into the eels, not just take on the properties, but literally turn into eels. So to me, that's just dope. And as you can see in these images, he's standing freely. I'm not using the stand to hold him. The arms are not too heavy. None of it is getting in the way of him posing so that I can show you what he does, which is dope because that means you can leave him on your shelf in a pose. I mean, I would put him on a stand, but you could leave him on a shelf if you have enough room, and he would be posed and look all awesome while he's standing there, you know, and grab people's attention, grab your attention, so that when you walk past, you want to play with this figure. You want to pose him, you want to switch up the accessories, and that's what it's all about. Now the gimmick. Okay, now you know I don't really like gimmicks, but in this case, the gimmick is another one of his powers. It's also an accessory. So, this is what he looks like in the show when he does this power, when he activates this power. And this is the octopus mode, or octopus kicks. You see his feet, but they kind of unravel from on the legs. You know what I'm saying? The blue opens up and he has extra legs. This is what they did in the SIC version. A whole nother torso. That's what that whole octopus piece that you saw in the back was. And what's awesome is that it's all the legs are articulated. They're heavy, they're sturdy legs. And it makes him tall if you want him to be. I'm like, this is just fucking dope. Like, this is the thing that sold me and made me have to go search this figure out. I couldn't believe when I saw it. I was like, what? Now, most of the SICs for Kamen Rider O's, they do this, you know, because they're animals. So usually the lower body, they do some kind of amped up extra lower body to, you know, make him take on the appearance of whatever that is. One of them is a grasshopper, another one is like, I think, a cat. Another one is like the jaws of a alligator. I mean, they're nuts, man. They're nuts. But this one appealed to me because I've never seen them do this, you know? I mean, obviously with spider characters, but how many can you name off the top of your head that they actually did this with? So I couldn't believe this when I saw it. I was like, this is awesome. And it's cool because they're articulated enough that you can actually make him look like he's either running, make him look like he's swimming, you can make him look like he's about to kick you with all those limbs. You can spread the limbs all the way out and have them way open. I mean, it's just, possibilities are endless. You can have him drilling at you like a drill kick from, you know, his rider kick in this mode, because he kicks you like 100 times with all the different appendages. Any way you slice it, it's just awesome. I mean, it's just awesome. Just the simple fact that they went the extra and kind of redesigned the basic elements of these tentacles to add to what his lower half would look like in this form. It's just awesome. I mean, look at the texturing and the paint and that nice gradation from the tannish color to the grayish color to the blue grayish color. It's just, it's awesome. It even has a shine to it that looks wet, you know, like a gloss to it. It's just masterfully done, and this is why SIC always stands out to me. They, like I said before, though, they're definitely not your standard pieces that you would play with, you know, hardcore, like you would a Legend or a DCUC or Icons or any of that stuff, because even though they're sturdy, they're just not they're not made for that kind of play. The kind of play you would do here is just recreating different poses and stuff that you saw from the show. And this thing does it in spades. So I am over the moon with this. Like, super impressed and super amazed that they were able to pull this off so well. Now, unfortunately, I still have nitpicks because this thing is not perfect. But, you know, granted, you don't do too much, you'll have a perfect experience. Now, you have to put all those legs in, but some of them do not stay pegged in. For some reason, the peg, it fits in the recess, but there's nothing that kind of snaps in place. So you might have to glue it so that it'll move at the top joint where the ball joint actually connects into the body. And then the other complaint I have, or issue, is that it doesn't come with any kind of stand. And you think something so big with this, the squid lower half or octopus lower half, would have a stand just designed specifically for it. So yeah, that's it. So the bottom line, whew, I don't really need to explain to you why you should pick this figure up if you can find them for a good price. SICs tend to be a little bit pricey, especially if it's of more of the Heisei era figures, because they're newer. a lot of the Showa era characters, with the exception of Super 1 and ZX, a lot of the Showa era ones aren't that expensive. But this guy, he will run you anywhere from 60 to, 100 plus. I got him for about 60 something. But, I think it's totally worth it. The posability, the materials. He doesn't have much die cast. I think the only die cast on him might be in the belt. But he is still an awesome figure. I don't have any issues with the figure as is, besides the little things I talked about. And those are all things that, sometimes you deal with when it comes to accessories for modern figures. Either you got to glue a thing or, tighten up a thing, or, there's no stand. But if you collect, you got tons of stands, so you don't have to worry. So that's one of the other things you want to keep in mind. But I mean, magnificent sculpt work, magnificent paint work, magnificent articulation. The guy can do whatever I saw him do in the show, despite having that huge linebacker shoulder piece with the two big shoulder pad things going on. It's just an awesome figure. I mean, think about how many figures we see domestically that don't have all this crap on them, all these details and such, and cannot be posed in these kinds of poses. You know what I mean? Just think about that. Or they're domestic figures of simpler designs and just don't have the accessory count, things that they do. Like, Daredevil figures should come with the sonar rings in some kind of fashion so you can put it popping off of his head. But you don't get that, He should come with multiple batons, ones with the ropes and ones without the ropes, but he doesn't come with those, you know what I mean? And it should be a standard thing by now. Yet, you move over here to the Kamen Riders and you get all that stuff in spades. So anyway, this has been my look at the SIC Kamen Rider O's Shau combo by Bandai. It's like triple S class stuff. You need to pick this guy up as soon as you see him. That is my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you for watching. You guys have been great. And peace outside. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please give it a like, a share, let your friends know. Check me out on social media. All the links are in the description. And if you really want to help me out big time, jump on Patreon and support the channel. Every little bit helps, the smallest amount to the largest amount. And last but not least, check out my comic, War of the Gods. Issue 2 is on sale now on Indie Planet. And the links are in the description. It's some superhero fun. And as a smaller independent book, it needs all the views, all the eyes on it as possible. So check it out, show it to your friends. Every view helps greatly. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks again.